Hi, I'm Beth Harold, CEO and founder of Outside the Box Creation. Welcome to video number 6 for parents at home with kids during the COVID-19 crisis. So today let's talk about process art. You may or may not have heard that term. It sounds like it's something really sophisticated, but really it's just doing art where the process is more important than the end product. If you get a great end product, that's wonderful. I view it like as icing on the cake. But it's really the process of doing the art that teaches kids the things that we want them to learn through doing art. So, as we're talking about process art, the thing that came to mind for me right away was finger painting. And you may also think that finger painting is just for preschoolers. Finger painting is great for preschoolers, but it's also great for older kids too, and even for us grown-ups sometimes. There's really something great about using our fingers and hands instead of some sort of a brush or an implement to do artwork. It creates a much more multidimensional sensory experience. It's easier to concentrate and be in the moment, I think. For kids in particular, it helps them with hand-eye coordination, with dexterity of their fingers, their fine motor skills, all of that sort of thing. I think it's a really great thing to do as a family. It occurred to me that many of you probably don't have finger paints at home, and if you do, great, go for it if you want to. I personally don't love all of the finger paints that are out there on the market, and I really don't like the paper that they typically sell you to do finger painting on. It's got a very shiny surface on it, and it does allow the fingers to slide on it really readily. But there's something about that just I don't find tactily enjoyable. It may be great for you and your kids, but if you want something different, or if you don't have finger paints at home, it's really easy to make your own totally natural, non-toxic finger paints. I have 2 different recipes, and I'll put them in the notes of the video so that you can evaluate both of them. One of them is just you mix it together, you put food coloring in it, and you're ready to go. The other one you do have to heat up on the stove. It's basically cornstarch, a little bit of salt, a little bit of sugar, and water. And you stir it on the stove until it thickens, and then you turn it off and let it cool. And then you can put it in different little containers. They don't have to be cool glass containers. But you divide it up after it's cool and then put food coloring in there. And if any of you have done Easter cookies or Christmas cookies, I figured you would have food coloring sitting around. Don't just feel like you're limited to the straight colors that are in the food coloring container. You can mix the colors. Like this is red and blue mixed together to make this gorgeous purple. The other paint that you don't cook on the stove, this is what I have in this salsa container. And it's a gorgeous color, but you will see also that it's a lot thinner. And you may enjoy that, you may not. I think that's probably personal preference. The one that you cook is almost gelatinous, but I really find that satisfying. So, if you're going to finger paint with your kids, the first thing I would do, even with a natural finger paint and food coloring, I would protect your work surface if you're at all concerned about staining or anything like that. So put some plastic down, old plastic bags, that sort of thing, even paper bags underneath, or newspaper not so much. But just lay something down so that you don't stain your tabletop. I would pick 2 or 3 different colors. I did the purple and the blue and the green because they're analogous colors. They're kind of near each other on the color wheel. So that means that they complement each other. And then actually yellow is right there as well. Blue and yellow make green. So it's up to you what you offer up, but you'll want to be careful not to give kids too many choices and not to give them colors that are going to very readily make mud when they swirl them all together with their fingers. And then also, if you're at all concerned about clothing, I would wear something over your shirt or that sort of thing. I've already run my elbow through some of the paint here. Okay, so then the next step after you get your finger paints set out is to decide what kind of paper you'd like to use. If you have finger painting paper that I mentioned earlier and you like it, that's a great thing to try. I wouldn't use construction paper, anything like that that doesn't do well if it gets wet. This again is just copy paper, printer paper, and it works pretty well, but it does wrinkle. I'll show you in just a minute. It does wrinkle when it dries. So I also have done some on a stiffer watercolor paper. And then I also had this black mixed media paper laying around. Just depends on what you have at home. The next thing is, I think it's really fun to paint to music. Letting the kids just experience the music with their senses and then paint however the mood moves them. So I would choose probably 3 or 4 different songs with different tempos, different feelings, different beats. Maybe one of them is a kid's song that has singing, that has a really happy, upbeat feeling about it. Maybe another one is classical music or jazz, bluegrass. I would recommend at least one of them be a song that doesn't have any words, just an instrumental piece. And for each song, give your kids a different piece of paper and have them start over. And then at the end, ask the kids what they were feeling when they painted. They may or may not be able to really articulate that to you, but it's a really fun thing to do, and it allows them to use all of their different senses. I forgot to mention also to have a roll of paper towel handy, because you need to wipe your finger off every time you get done painting with a different color before you go into the next color. Here, you can see these paints really well here. And this is one that one of our kids did with the thinner paint, and you can see that the paper's pretty crinkly, and that it's not like full coverage, but it does have a nice feeling to it all the same. This was done with the thinner paint also, the no-cook paint. And then this was done with the paint that you cook, and you can see that it's just got a real gelatinous quality to it. So whether you're using store-bought finger paints, the no-cook version, or the version that you cook on the stove, have a great process art day with your kids.